and welcome to the August 8th, 2022 Metropolitan Traffic and Parking Commission. If you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the commission decision. Advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Okay, I'm asking for approval of today's agenda.
Move to approve.
We have a first. Is there a second, please?
Second.
We have a first and a second.
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. The June 13th, 2022 minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
We have a first. Is there a second? Second. We have a first.
Aye.
July 11th, 2022 minutes.
Hi, I want to thank staff for doing such a great job in capturing what the public can go to on YouTube and easily review. I would like to ask for simplification on the minutes that we have the motion to approve, second, and a vote. I don't think there's really specifically on what as legal to interpret what this means, to approve it. Well, what our motion was under old business, the last point with sidewalk vending. If you can tell me exactly what that means, if you would explain what the part in parentheses means. If y'all could ask permission for our just for clarification.
Placement of sign, commissioners discuss changing the motion to say, put that.
Yes, what all that means. We have a first and a second.
I mean, I might just defer to staff because I didn't draft this. I'm sorry.
Let's just try to speak up. This last piece, motion to basically sign that you guys approved, sign where it was approved, then that was actually an original motion. It was on YouTube. We talked in the room about going back and changing that, but we didn't officially go back and change that original motion. So that's what I'm capturing in these parentheses. Motion that Commissioner Woods made was to sign where they could then, and then we had this long discussion, and so we didn't go back to change it to what we wanted to, which was the sign restriction.
So the intention was to have a sign saying penalty.
Yeah, that was the intent. We all agreed because everybody
That's
wanted
all
this.
with the motion.
Yeah, the original motion, we can go back and capture that. There was like a 4-point motion, and we just didn't go back to correct.
So is there clarification from what you and staff about what was actually done?
Yeah, I mean, everything is right. I guess that's what the parentheses are for, is just to kind of clarify that this is what the intent, but we didn't go back and revise the motion
Okay, so
to
if
clarify the intent.
we're doing, if we choose to, we can go back
So, I mean, in my opinion, the larger issue is actually an inconsistency between the language of the motion and some of the language in the code that maybe y'all kind of like were inconsistent enough with some provisions in the code that the motion didn't make sense and couldn't prevail over the code itself.
So what needs to be in the minutes to reflect that?
I mean, the minutes should accurately represent what was said at the meeting, but the Open Meetings Act specifically provides that the minutes of a meeting of any such governmental body shall be promptly and fully recorded, shall be open to public inspection, shall include but not be limited to the persons present, all motions, proposals, and resolutions offered, the results of any votes taken, and a record of individual votes in the event of roll call.
So I'm concerned about approving minutes. So,
Capture the motion.
right, you did capture the motion.
I did capture, that motion is correct.
So I
What
could-
you said.
So the minutes do have to be an accurate record of what happened at the last meeting. You can't substantively change it now. You can amend it. You can amend the previously adopted motion at this meeting.
We haven't adopted the approval. We have not voted to approve the minutes from last month.
Right.
We're having a discussion of the minutes of July the 11th because we
But
have
the
a
only
commissioner
purpose
who's
of the minutes is
not
just to
clear.
be a record of what happened last month. It's not, you know, like you wouldn't do a substantive change to it that differs from what actually happened at the preceding meeting. You can amend what was adopted at the last meeting during this meeting.
Right, that's what I'm asking, but what is your legal opinion about what is in the parentheses?
I'm not sure I have one. I think it's more of a factual question of whether it accurately represents what was said at the last meeting, which I'm sure it does if Mr. Oldham tracked the recording.
Okay. Well, I could move to approve based on our legal interpretation. If that works, is there,
We have a motion to approve the minutes of July the 11th. Is there-
based on our legal advisor's recommendation?
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jason.
Thank you.
And
Good.
thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. It's good to be clear. On a good record. Okay. Approval of consent agenda. Please note that items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time, and no individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. We have one item on the consent agenda. It is the removal of a valet loading stand zone at 509 Houston Street requested by valet permit holder. Any discussion of that? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it has been approved. Okay. Regular agenda item, authorization for up to 3 new parking meters at 200 Polk Avenue where a business has permanently closed one of their access points and is an opportunity for increased parking revenue. Is there any discussion by commissioners? Questions?
Looks like the staff recommendation is moved to approve, remove the no parking restriction.
And add 3 meters.
Right, I'd like to make a motion to remove the no parking restriction on the west side of Polk Avenue and authorize Ndot to install up to 3 new meters.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's been approved. Okay. Is there a train here? Okay. We could have more fun if there was one. Okay. Next item, unfinished business, is a presentation by Ndot on updating the sidewalk vending regulations, ordinance, and proposed locations where vendors can vend. Ms. Director Alicorn, you have the floor.
At the last meeting, we were actually requested to bring back additional regulation that would be needed for the sidewalk vending. We've been having ongoing meetings, and there's a lot more to it than than we thought. So we are actually going to ask if we can defer this particular item for 2 meetings and bring it back to y'all in October, because not only do we need to look at continuing to improve the regulation, but we also need to draft an ordinance to go with this as well. So we feel that if you would give us those 2 months, if we have it ready by next month, we'll actually ask permission to put it on. But right now, just with the usual amount of time it takes to move things, we're requesting if you would please consider a deferral until October. And we'll continue our conversations with both the industry community as well as internal staff to get to that point.
So just as a clarification, so the plan is to bring back to the commission a draft ordinance
It would
or
be,
language
it would be-
and/or?
it will be most likely both. So it
Both.
would be an ordinance and then update to the regulations
Okay.
is what we'd be bringing back.
Okay.
But we need to do both to bring that back before the commission in order to really be correct.
Okay. And legal counsel, it's my understanding that in order, let me make sure I say this, I think for the council to consider an ordinance, this commission needs to pass language and make a referral to the council. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So what happens is when a piece of legislation is filed with the Metropolitan clerk that affects the flow of traffic, it will be referred to this commission as a mandatory referral per charter. And this commission must make a recommendation on it prior to it going before council on second reading. If council disagrees with the recommendation of the commission, I believe that they are then required to pass the legislation by a 2/3 majority.
So I think yes, we need a motion. So if we could have a motion and then we can see about any discussion.
Let me see if I understand, get this motion correct. We are going to ask for a deferral until October on the updates on the Ndot updates to sidewalk vending regulations, ordinance, and proposed locations where vendor can vend.
Correct.
And, okay, that's my motion. And I'd like to also somewhere go on the record on something else after maybe discussion.
All right, so we have a motion. Does that motion accurately capture what we need to do? Ms. Costones?
Seems fine to me.
Okay. Is there a second of that motion?
I'd second it.
Okay, we have a first and second. This, it's open to discussion.
So this whole process started back this spring, as I understand, Dinah, you can help me, that when the police came to us worried about safety, saying, we have got to do something about this. And second thing that happened is the mayor came and said, please do this. So when people have asked, where is this coming from? The police and the mayor, and am I accurately sharing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes, Mr. Teffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We know and understand that this is a very important issue, and that we want to, you guys, the staff wants to bring something to us that we could pass. Is there any way you could give us a highlight of how y'all are planning to involve the vendors and merchants in a discussion, or kind of what the plans are for the next, because we've kind of had said we were going to see something today, and that was 30 days ago. And, I think it would be nice and fair just to kind of get a little preview of what y'all are working on.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So there is a task force or a task team that has been put together that includes vendors from, that actually are, have been out there on the sidewalk vending. We're going to continue that task force as we move through the ordinance as well as the regulation, so that we have that input going into it as well. And especially because one of the outcomes that we want to make sure we provide back to this commission is where vending can happen. So that is a very ongoing conversation that they will be part of as well. So I would say not only are we going to continue with the task force meetings as well, but we will also continue with internal meetings to get to where the ordinance and the regulations are in the appropriate manner to bring back for this to this commission for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Another question, where are the police, since they brought this to us, where are they? Are they on the task force?
Yes, ma'am, on both. So they're sitting on the task force as well as they're also participating in the internal conversation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So, members of the audience who I know are here about this issue, it appears that there'll be additional opportunity for input, discussion before there's, I'll say, reconsideration of this issue. So that's the motion. Okay. So we have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion of this item?
Jason, the motion's okay?
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion is passed. Thank you, everyone. So hopefully we'll get some clarity. Okay. Next item, if we could get an update on the smart parking contract, please.
So thank you very much. I get to do that again, too. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So the smart parking, as you were aware, 2 meetings past, there was actually, I'll give it a chance
Let's
to let
take
the
a
room
pause
clear.
here for just a moment. We're not very popular anymore. Director Alicorn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So at the last meeting, or actually not at the last meeting, the prior meeting to that, there was actually a gentleman who came and spoke about a protest letter that had been sent that had gone to procurement, but at that time in the meeting, the procurement had not responded to that protest request. So therefore, y'all deferred. Since that time, procurement has responded back to the protest, to the protester. They did not believe that the protester had anything to stand on, so they denied their request. However, by our own, I think ordinance, and Teresa helped me, I think it's an ordinance, they have the right to appeal to the, to a board. And so that board meeting is actually going to be happening next Monday. So the appeal to their protest will go back before that board. After that, if it's upheld where they find that there's still nothing for them to stand on a protest, then at that point, we'll bring this back before y'all next month to continue moving forward with the contract. So at this time, the contract is still in negotiation. And we are hoping that we'll have a chance to bring this back before y'all, but it does need to go before the appeal board, which is scheduled for next Monday, on August 15th, I think. I want to say it correctly, August 15th, yes.
Can we
thank you.
can we get a recommendation? If you're ready to bring it back to us, is it possible to have a recommendation from the staff about what you're asking the commission to do?
Yes, ma'am. If we're going to proceed forward after the appeals hearing next week, it would be a recommendation to approve the contract that we'll be bringing before you.
Thank you so much, Director Alcorn.
Director, just for clarification, this appeal process that will take place next Monday, will a decision be made on Monday? Are you guys expecting for a decision to be made?
I do expect for a
Okay.
decision to be made. There's two ways. One is if they do believe that the protesters was within their rights, they will actually take that back to procurement and say you have to make those adjustments to the contract.
Okay.
If they feel like the protester's not within their right, they'll uphold it. And therefore, then we would be able to move forward with the procurement practice.
That's great. Thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for the director? Okay. Thank you for the update, appreciate it. Okay. The next item, new business. The new valet parking map under development by Ndot. Staff.
Thank you. Yes, we just kind of wanted to give an update. The map should be available for you to look at the next meeting, September. So we've been trying to map out locations of many critical loading zones, valet. So we just want to make sure we get that to you and to the public.
Is this question, is this going to be a map of existing valet stands around town? Is that
I believe so.
what it's going to be? Can you clarify, please?
If I may address, yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the map, we provided y'all, if you remember, a few months back, a map of where the meters are located. And it just makes sense to expand that map so it reflects not just the meters, but the valet locations, as well as loading and unloading, including where we've created drop-off zones for sightseeing. So we want to do a very extensive map that reflects everything that this board has taken over the years. And that will become a regular map that as changes are happening, we'll update, bring back, and it'll be fresh, it'll be transparent. We'll also make it available on the website. But before we actually publish it, we would like to bring that back before the board. So we are working through that, and we plan on bringing that back before you to have all that information available.
In a perfect world, Director, will this valet parking map and meters all kind of be available through a smart parking contract? I mean, where people can look and see here's actual places. Is that a goal?
So, thank you very much. That's a great question. So yes, as we move forward with the smart parking program, part of that is availability of parking and unloading. There's an opportunity for us, and part of the reason why we want to capture the valet as well as also the unloading is there's an opportunity to share that space. So for example, some valets do not start using the space till 5, but up until 5, that can be used by the general public. But we need to bring that back so we can have the larger conversation about the shared space. So yes, it would be opportunities that the public would be able to use through an app as part of the smart parking system. So it plays a very significant role in it. Thank you.
That's great. We've been asking for.
For
a while.
We're gonna get it. We're getting
Thank
there.
you. You're doing
Quick.
great.
We're getting there.
Question, because there was some kind of a pilot program concerning loading zones that was based on an app where help with deliveries. So is that, I assume that's being incorporated into all this?
So the pilot program we've actually ended. So that actually ended a couple months after I actually got here. That was the time frame it was supposed to. We've collected a lot of data from that. We do feel that that is a very significant practice, and we've shared that data with our Connect Downtown consultant who's incorporating that in. We do feel that's going to be part of the recommendations when we come back and do our big presentation on Connect Downtown and everything that they're recommending. So we have more efficiency in our downtown core and also the outer band. They've taken that data and they're applying it into it. So it was very significant. It provided really good insight as to some good practices that we can bring into be more efficient. It's just we're not using that right now at this moment.
Yes,
In addition
Mr.
to the valet map, I meant to write into the agenda. This was just to give everyone a heads up. Last July, the increased valet fees would take effect July 2022. So that is also happening. Just wanted to include that, so.
Any other comments, questions thank you for the update. It's something we've been working on for several years. Thank you. Understand. All right, next item is an update on the implementation of the urban service district speed reduction.
Yes. Commissioner, as far as, I think it went into effect January 2021 was when it was passed. We had, I think about 3 or 4 months, we got all the existing signs changed that were out there. Markings took maybe a little bit longer, but pretty much in about 4 or 5 months, everything was changed out as far as speeds from 30 to 25 miles per hour. That puts us at, just over a year to really look at crashes, complaints, requests for speed trailers. In the world of traffic engineering and crash data analysis, we usually like more than a year, like 3 years, to just see what maybe some of the benefits were for that change in ordinance. I will say we've had more requests for speed trailers, but I don't think that truly is related to the ordinance. I think it's more related to the traffic calming program and just getting the word out about that program and more people applying. We have a lot of people applying. So it's probably a little bit too early to tell. That's unfortunately my update, but I will be tracking that. There is also increased desire that we are seeing outside the urban service district for lower speeds in similar type neighborhoods. So more to come.
So to refresh that, we passed reducing speed limits on residential streets from 30 to 25.
Yeah, the neighborhood locals.
Neighborhood local street. So, all right, we'll look forward to continuing updates because we still see some of these items come to us on agenda that people are looking to reduce speed limits. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Okay. All right. Next item is the location of our upcoming meetings. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Other items, I'd like to say thank you to Diane Marshall for the years she has been here helping us at our meetings and bringing us candy and putting up nameplates and interpreting things. We really appreciate her service. We're not the easiest commission in the world to juggle.
I think she's retiring after 41 years of service.
We're going to celebrate it on Wednesday.
And celebrate. Yes, we'll look forward to celebrating that retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that. Okay, the location of the upcoming meetings, please.
We will be back at Sunny West for all those months.
Okay.
September, October, November, and
All right, well, that'll be great.
It doesn't interfere with the November election.
we got confirmation that it did not, so
All right.
we're good.
Okay.
Just
and,
barely.
I do want to thank the police department for getting the air conditioning fixed at the precinct.
Thank you.
So it seemed to work in reverse. I thought when the air conditioner was broken, the meetings would be short, but it seemed to work the other way. So, okay. Any other comments? It looks like we're going to be sweet and brief today. Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Okay, seconded. All in favor? See y'all next month.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.